What if you could get the key architects of the entire modern AI revolution, all of them, in the same room at the same time? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. A super rare meeting where the minds behind AI shared what they really think. Let's dive in.
And listen, that's how this group was introduced. And it's not some kind of over-the-top exaggeration. These are literally the pioneers whose work is changing our world right now. So we're going to explore their big ideas, their take on this crazy AI moment we're in, and what they see coming next, straight from the source.
To really get what's happening with AI today, you've got to go back to these personal aha moments that started this whole thing. These aren't just, lines of code. They're stories about obsession and insight that laid the groundwork for everything.
So get this. Way back in 1984, Geoffrey Hinton builds this little language model, and it starts to figure out the meaning of words just by trying to predict the next one. The core idea, it was already there. So why the 40-year wait? Well, as Hinton put it, they were missing two absolutely massive ingredients: ridiculous amounts of compute power and just mountains of data. And that's where Fei-Fei Li comes in. It's around 2007, and she's hit a wall. She's tried every algorithm out there, but the models just aren't getting smarter. And then it hits her. The problem wasn't the algorithm, it was the data. Her machines were, in her words, starved. And that one idea led her to create ImageNet, this enormous hand-labeled dataset that basically became the textbook that taught computers how to see.
Okay, so you've got the data, but you still need the horsepower, right? This is where the story gets wild. In the late 90s, a guy named Bill Dolly at Stanford figures out a whole new way to organize computation to get around this thing called the memory wall. Fast forward a bunch of years. NVIDIA's Jensen Huang has this breakfast with Andrew Ng, who's telling him how he's using 16,000 CPUs just to find cats on the internet. And a light bulb goes off for Huang. He realizes his company's GPUs, built on Dolly's ideas, could do that job way, way more efficiently. And that one moment, that one breakfast, is what turned a graphics card company into the engine that powers the entire AI industry today.
But before all the silicon and all the data, there was just this deep curiosity.
For Yoshua Bengio, his aha moment happened when he was a grad student. He's reading Hinton's early work, and he's just captivated by this thought, wow, what if there are just a few simple rules, kind of like the laws of physics, that could explain all of intelligence? That fundamental philosophical question is really the beating heart of this whole revolution.
Okay, so that's the origin story. Now let's slam the fast-forward button to right now. The money's flying around, it's in the headlines every single day, and of course, everybody's asking the exact same question.
All right, let's just get right to it. The question on everyone's mind. Are we in a bubble? Is this all just hype? Another dot-com bust waiting to happen? Or is something fundamentally different this time around? Well, the people who actually built the plumbing for this have some pretty strong opinions.
And Jensen Huang has this killer analogy to explain it. He says, think back to the dot-com bubble. Companies laid down millions of miles of fiber optic cable, but most of it was dark. It was just sitting there, unused. The difference today, he says every single GPU they can make is lit up. They're all running all the time. This isn't building for a future that might show up. It's infrastructure that can't even keep up with the demand we have right now.
And this is the key. You have to understand this. Huang says we're not just building new software, we're building a whole new industry he calls AI factories. It's not like a website where you just pull up information that's already there. No, AI has to manufacture intelligence on the spot every single time you ask it a question. And that manufacturing process takes an absolutely insane amount of constant raw computation. And if you think the demand is crazy now, oh boy. Bill Dolly, the expert from earlier, he believes we've barely even started. He estimates that we've only hit about 1%, just 1% of the total demand for AI that will eventually exist. Now, if he's right, we are not at the peak of a bubble. We're at the very, very beginning of building a whole new global utility.
Okay, but there's a really important but here, a counterpoint from Jan LeCun. He basically says, look, if there is a bubble, it's not in the hardware. The real bubble might be the idea that the tech we have right now, these large language models, is the final path to creating human-level intelligence. He thinks we're still missing some really big pieces of the puzzle.
Which, of course, leads us to the final and, honestly, the biggest question of all, the whole debate around artificial general intelligence, or AGI. I mean, what did the people who actually started this whole thing think about the endgame? So, how long? How long until we have machines that are as intelligent as a human being? You'd think the people who built this stuff would have a similar answer, right? Well, you'd be wrong. They are all over the map on this one, and it is fascinating. All right, let's just go down the list because this is wild. Jeffrey Hinton is pretty direct. He says, a machine that can always win a debate against you? Yeah, definitely within 20 years. But then you have Jensen Huang and Bill Daly who basically say, hold on, that's not even the right question to ask. Their goal isn't to replace humans, it's to augment us. Fei-Fei Li points out that, hey, parts of this are already here. AI is already superhuman at specific things like translation. And then you've got Jan LeCun on the other end of the spectrum saying, whoa, slow down. We don't even have a robot as smart as a cat yet. We're missing something big. But in the middle of all that debate, Yoshua Bengio drops what might be the real game changer. He points out that AI is getting really, really good at the exact skills needed to build better AI: computer science, engineering. The speed at which these things are learning to code and understand complex systems is just off the charts. It's creating this feedback loop that we've just never seen before in history. And that's really the thought I want to leave you with. Think about it. All this incredible progress so far, that was us, humans. So what happens when the primary thing driving AI development is AI itself? It's a question these pioneers are wrestling with, and it's a question we're all going to have to face. Thanks for watching.